The golden jerseys and the shiny medals were all a lie. While the world thought they were watching a team represent their country, a secret war was being waged behind closed doors. We have the proof that the Olympic coaching staff didn't just overlook Caitlin Clark, they actively plotted to erase her from the game plan. This was a tactical execution of a superstar's reputation. It was a cold and calculated move to make sure the greatest prospect.
Yo, if you love real basketball stories, deep dives, and the drama behind the game, you're in the right place. But if you want to take it to the next level, hit that join button. Members get exclusive content, early access, and behind-the-scenes drops you won't see anywhere else. Plus, you're directly supporting the channel and helping us bring you even better content. So if you rock with Basketball Spilled, become a member today. Let's keep the game alive.
In history stayed in the shadows. The recording we are about to break down reveals the exact moment the decision was made. You can hear the voices of the people trusted to lead the sport. They were not talking about winning or losing. They were talking about control. They were talking about making sure the new girl knew her place. This is the total meltdown of the Olympic leadership. This is the ruin of a legacy built on favoritism and spite. Before we dive into the forensic evidence of this locker room hit job, you need to join the inner circle. This is where the real investigation happens. Subscribe right now and join our Inner Circle membership for an exclusive weekly documentary that the league does not want you to see. Use the hype button and hit the super thanks to support our mission. We are the only ones willing to dig through the lies and find the truth. The league is trying to bury this recording, but we are bringing it to light. Join the truth seekers today and help us fight against the corrupt narrative that is poisoning the game. We need your support to keep the cameras rolling when the lights go out. The audio starts with the sound of a heavy door slamming shut. You can hear the distant roar of the crowd, but inside the room it is dead silent. Then the whispering begins. It is not the sound of a coach giving a pep talk. It is the sound of a group of people making a pact. One coach clearly states that the ball cannot go through the rookie. They talk about defensive rotations that are specifically designed to isolate her on the perimeter. They weren't worried about the opposing team. They were worried about Caitlin Clark taking over the game. They knew if she played her style of basketball, the veterans would look slow and outdated. So they made a choice to handicap their own offense. They decided that a narrow win with the old guard was better than a blowout led by a new star. This recording catches them red-handed discussing a tactical blackout. They used words like seniority and respect as weapons. They whispered about making sure the shot attempts stayed with the players who had paid their dues. It was a seniority trap designed to keep the most popular player in the world on the bench. The coaches didn't care about the fans or the growth of the game. They only cared about protecting the status quo. They orchestrated a plan to limit her minutes and put her in positions where she was destined to fail. When she was on the floor, the plays were called away from her. The defensive assignments were changed to make her look like a liability. This was systemic sabotage from the very top. The audio is muffled, but the intent is crystal clear. You can hear a senior staff member say that the hype needs to die down. They wanted to prove that they didn't need her to win gold. They were willing to risk the entire tournament just to prove a point. They saw her influence as a threat to their power. They didn't see a teammate, they saw an intruder. The tactical blackout was real and it was personal. They talked about her like she was an enemy instead of the future of the league. This recording is the smoking gun that proves the Olympic selection process was never about talent. It was about who was willing to play the game behind the scenes. But what the cameras missed was the physical toll this took on the locker room. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The veterans weren't just following orders, they were part of the scheme. They refused to set screens for her. They looked the other way when she was open. It was a coordinated effort to make sure the ball never touched her hands in transition. This was the legendary fast break being killed on purpose. The coaches watched it happen and they smiled. They had successfully neutralized the most dangerous weapon in basketball, and they did it all while wearing the flag on their chests. The second half of this disaster goes even deeper into the corruption. This wasn't just about one game or one tournament. This was a war against the new era. These coaches have been in power for decades, and they are terrified of losing their grip. They use stats to lie, but the film tells the truth. When you look at the defensive rotations from those games, you see players standing still. You see deliberate choices to ignore the open shooter. They were following the pact made in that locker room. They were prioritizing their own brands over the success of the team. This is the definition of a toxic environment. We have witness statements from staff members who saw the coaching meetings. They describe a culture of fear and exclusion. If you weren't part of the inner circle of veterans, you were invisible. Caitlin Clark was the ultimate outsider. She worked harder than anyone else, but it didn't matter. The decision to suppress her was made long before the first whistle blew. The coaches used her as a prop to sell tickets and then threw her away when the game started. They manipulated the media to make it seem like she wasn't ready, but the recording proves she was more than ready. She was being held back by people who were supposed to help her soar. The villains in this story are the architects of a failing system. They are the ones who think they own the game. They treat the court like a private club where only their friends are allowed to play. They use the Olympic platform to settle a score. They were jealous of the jersey sales. They were jealous of the television ratings. They couldn't handle the fact that a rookie was bigger than the entire league combined. So they tried to break her spirit. They tried to make her feel small in the biggest moments of her life, but their plan backfired because the truth always comes out. The systemic sabotage lurking behind the gold medal facade is a stain on the sport. You can look at the field goal percentages and the assist numbers all you want. Those numbers don't show the passes that weren't made. They don't show the plays that were scratched out in red ink because they featured the rookie too much. The coaches were caught scheming to make the game boring just to keep the power in their hands. They preferred a stagnant offense to a dynamic one because they couldn't control the dynamic one. They are the locker room cancers that are eating the game from the inside out. The whispered pact to prioritize seniority over scoring was a betrayal of every fan who bought a ticket. People flew across the world to see the future of basketball, and they were given a funeral for the past. The coaches acted like they were protecting the game, but they were only protecting their egos. They are the ones who should be held accountable for the lack of growth in the sport for so many years. They are the gatekeepers who refuse to open the door. This recording is their downfall. It is the evidence that will finally force a change in how the national team is run. The evidence is overwhelming, and the reputation of these coaches is in tatters. They thought they could operate in the dark, but the light is finally shining on them. They are manipulative and they are corrupt. They treated a once-in-a-generation talent like a nuisance. They tried to gaslight the public into thinking there was no drama. They told us everything was fine while they were sharpening their knives. But we heard the audio. We saw the schemes. We know exactly what happened in that locker room. The veterans who participated in this are just as guilty. They chose their own shadows over the bright light of progress. This is not just about basketball. This is about a culture that rewards the old and punishes the new. It is about a system that is rigged to keep the elite in power, regardless of their performance. The coaches catching a tactical blackout on their own player is a level of pettiness that is hard to wrap your head around. But it happened. The recording is the proof that the people in charge are the ones holding the sport back. They are the ones who are afraid of change. They are the ones who would rather see the ship sink than let someone else steer it. The fallout from this leak is going to be massive. The league can't hide from this forever. The coaches will try to deny it, but the voices on the tape don't lie. They will try to say it was taken out of context, but how do you justify a pact to ignore a teammate? How do you justify a defensive scheme meant to isolate your own star? You can't. There is no excuse for what they did. It was a professional hit job carried out on a global stage. It was an embarrassment to the country and a slap in the face to every athlete who believes in a meritocracy. The villain is the architect of their own downfall. By trying to suppress Caitlin Clark, they only made her more powerful. They showed the world exactly who they are. They showed us that they are small-minded and bitter. They thought they could ruin her reputation, but they only ruined their own. Every win they have from here on out will be questioned. Every decision they make will be viewed through the lens of this betrayal. They have lost the trust of the fans, and they have lost the trust of the players who actually care about winning. The coaching staff thought they were being clever. They thought they were being strategic, but all they were being was toxic. They were the ones who created the divide. They were the ones who whispered in corners and plotted in the dark. They are the reason why the league feels like a middle school hallway instead of a professional organization. They brought their own drama into the locker room and then blamed the rookie for the distraction. It's a classic move from a corrupt front office and a desperate coaching staff. The final buzzer is ringing for the old guard. They can try to spin the narrative all they want, but the tape is playing and the world is listening. They caught themselves in their own trap. They thought they could keep the secret forever, but secrets have a way of getting out, especially when the secret involves sabotaging the biggest star in the world. The era of secrecy is over. The fans are no longer buying the lies. We see the schemes and we hear the whispers. The corrupt leadership of the national team has been caught in the act. They tried to ruin a reputation, but they only cemented a legend.
Caitlin Clark is the hero who survived the sabotage, and the coaches are the ones who will be left behind in the dust of history. The game belongs to the players and the fans now. The old guard has been defeated by their own words.